So you are so stressed that you don't go to work, either because you are so stressed or because due to stress you develop some illnesses and the cost is really high. Your productivity is diminished. It's not good for you as an individual, but it's also not good for your employer. So the views now changed. In the past, people used to believe that an individual is responsible for their own stress. Now, managers know that stress is the problem not only of an individual, but of the whole organization, because the stress of an individual affects the organization in terms of productivity, absenteeism, and so on and so forth. Long stress can result in burnout. Burnout, in Polish, wypalenie. Here in our case, we're speaking about occupational stress, wypalenie zawodowe, yes, this burnout. It can be physical, emotional, or spiritual exhaustion brought about by sustained stress. It usually happens when your bodily reserves are used up and your body responds in stress and then in burnout if you do nothing about this stress. Who suffers from burnout? Anyone can suffer. You, me, other people, your boss. Can burnout be treated? Yes, it can. By specialists, of course. It can be overcome, but it takes time and effort on your side and on the side of the specialist. The symptoms are more severe than symptoms of stress. If we think about physiological symptoms, this is serious loss of appetite, trembling, fatigue, so you are really tired, insomnia, so serious sleeplessness, anger, depression, malaise. Physiological consequences, for instance, colds. You catch cold easily because your immune system is suppressed by prolonged stress. Headaches, some serious muscle contractions, cardiovascular disease, hypertension, hair loss, and psychological consequences of burnout, emotional exhaustion, also called compassion fatigue. It's first stage of burnout and it plays a central role in burnout processes. Then depersonalization, it follows emotional exhaustion. You tend to treat other people like objects rather than people. And then last, reduced personal accomplishment. This is the final component of job burnout. This is the decline in your own feelings of competence and success. This is the end, yes, I may say, when it comes to it. So what about behavioral consequences of burnout? Well, if you suffer from burnout, it results in your distress and your job performance falls. Work accidents are more common because you cannot focus, you are not careful enough. Because of high stress levels, you are unable to remember some pieces of information, which is also problematic. Besides, as I already said, employees who are under the influence of stress tend to have higher levels of absenteeism, which is not good for the organization. So it's better to do something about stress. And nowadays, managers know that there are some benefits of stress management. Because if you as an employee, if your physical health gets better, you have more energy, more stamina. Your emotions are stabilized, you have more positive attitudes, you are happier. Happier employee is a more productive employee. Happy employee is employee who more easily communicates with other people. Your focus abilities improve. If you are not under the influence of constant stress and burnout, you can focus more easily on the tasks, on what you do, on what other people tell you to do. So once again, please remember, as an individual, as an employee, you are not solely responsible for your stress. The whole organization may be responsible. And it is for the benefit of the whole organization if your well-being is taken into consideration. As I said earlier, you cannot eliminate stress from your life, but you can identify what makes you stress, and you can try to minimize situations that you find stressful or head off your negative reactions. How to reduce your negative stress? Well, first of all, remember that even if you cannot change a given situation, you can change your reaction to it. Of course, it will not just happen like that. But step by step, think what makes you happy, what makes you stressed, why you are stressed, what you do when you are stressed, how to cope with the situation, and what you can do to alleviate excessive stress. First of all, try to notice. Next time when you are stressed, try to notice what type of situation it is and what you do. Find out what makes you stressed. Learn how it affects your body. If you have stomach problems, if you have headaches, then look at the situation and try to identify what you can change. You cannot change your boss, but you can, for instance, try to change the channel of communication. You may try to avoid face-to-face speaking, but rather write emails, for instance. This would reduce the intensity of your stress. It would shorten your exposure to stress. Think about changing your job if you think it's too stressful. Think about how to reduce the intensity of your emotional reaction. Be aware that you don't need to please everyone. Try to adopt some moderate views. Try not to be a perfectionist. Try to moderate your physical reactions to stress. Try to breathe deeply. Try to focus on an object. If you are really stressed in a given situation, let's say it's public speaking experience, you have just 5 minutes and you will start speaking to other people. Focus on an object. Let me present. Let me find an object like a pen, for instance. Try to look at it. Try to think if it's heavy or not, what color it has, what shape it has. Just try to focus on it for a few minutes. This way you will not think about the stress and the thing you need to do next. Or go to the toilet, wash your hands. Focus on the sensation of cold water running over your hands. Try to relax. Take some exercise. Be careful with medications. It will not help you in the long run, especially if taken not under the supervision of a specialist. Do something to avoid stress in the long run. So first of all, build up your physical reserves. Exercise at least 3-4 times a week. Eat well-balanced food. Try to stay healthy. Avoid caffeine, nicotine, alcohol and some other stimulants. Remember about leisure, about your hobby. Remember that hard work and no joy makes Jack a dull boy. So remember that you need to relax after a hard day. Get enough sleep. You will also be less susceptible to illnesses. Develop some supportive relationships. Talk to your friends. Be aware that always something bad may happen. Expect some frustrations, some failures and sorrows. It is part of our life. I know it's very difficult. But we cannot have control over it. So be aware that there are things beyond our control. Be gentle with yourself. I once read what a well-known psychologist said about taking care of oneself, that one should imagine their life as 3 gardens situated next to each other. First garden is your job. Next garden is other people and your relations with other people, and garden number 3, yourself. Your pleasures, your needs, and so on and so forth. If you only take care of the first 2 gardens, garden number 3 will not be in order. If garden number 3 is not in order, it will affect the other gardens. For instance, because of the weeds that will grow in the other 2 gardens. So remember to treat yourself well. Remember about your own needs and feelings. They are equally important as your relations with other people, as your job-related relations. Try to organize your space so as to make it more user-friendly, like the plants, like your favorite objects. Sometimes even your favorite pen can change a situation. Remember about your friends. Remember about physical exercise. Remember about simple things that make you happy. And of course, be aware that stress management means good management. And good management means stress management if you are the managers. Try to treat yourself well. Imagine yourself carrying a very heavy backpack. I'm sure that those of you who have kids know that in their backpacks that are too heavy, there are some necessary things and some unnecessary things. So imagine the backpack. Take out all the things you carry with you every day. There are some things you need to carry, like for instance, copybooks and school books in case of children, but not necessarily, 5 teddy bears, 10 chewing gums, 3 bottles of juice. Think what in your life is these important things, like those copybooks. So you need to go to work. You have some deadlines. These are things you cannot eliminate. But there are some unnecessary things, like those 5 teddy bears or 3 bottles of juice. Like worrying too much about what other people may think about you. Or thinking too much about what your boss will say. Or considering what to do to make your boss happy. Just try to do your job as best as you can. Try to be kind to yourself and other people. Try to do some funny things. And many, many more, of course. What I would like you to do now is to take 2 stress tests that I sent to you. You have this course. Just analyze how you scored and look at the things you underlined. Imagine if some of the things you can avoid and how to do it. I would also like to watch film. It's available on YouTube. A film entitled Stress, the Portrait of a Killer. It's about the work of Robert Sapolsky, psychologist that is interested in stress theory. There are some interesting things. While watching, you may become more aware of the roots of your stress, and you may then more easily work out some solutions. I also sent you a link to autogenic training. This is one of the ways to deal with stress. Just watch, or rather listen, close your eyes, try to relax and think if it would be a good way for you to unwind. There are many, many more ways to cope with stress. But as in case of causes of stress and reactions to stress, they vary from individual to individual, so you need to work out your own coping strategies. Start with observation. Observe yourself, what makes you stressed, how you react, what it results in. Then work out some coping strategies. Try to do something in a different way. Try to treat yourself better. Try to spend some time with yourself. Try not to be a perfectionist. Just be wise. On the one hand, we want to please everyone because we are good dads, good moms, good employees, good neighbors, good daughters and sons. On the other hand, we have just one life. So be good to yourself, and then it will be easier to be good to other people. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. And thank you for your attention.